Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines. We have the President of the Republic receives the member of the Constitutional Council. Rigorous measures for an effective response concerning COVID-19 in the Republic of Djibouti. For the nationals in Champions League, Real Madrid draws against Chelsea. Welcome to our newsroom. The Head of State, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, received this Wednesday mid-mornings at the Palace of the Republic. The President of the Constitutional Council of Djibouti, Mr. Abdi Ibrahim Absiye, accompanied by the main officials and executive of this institution. This audience is part of an established tradition where members of the Constitutional Council are, at the end of the elections in our country, received to hand over to the head of state the final results of the elections. The Constitutional Council is a prestigious institution that contributes to the affirmation and reinforcement of the democratic practice in our country, in addition to its mission to ensure the conformity of laws to the supreme legal standards. In this case, the Constitution, the body also acts as an arbitrationist body, assigning the different powers, executive and legislative, to their different respective areas of intervention. The Secretary General of the Presidency, Mr. Mohamed Abdullahi Wais, and the Director of the Cabinet of the Presidency, Mr. Mohamed Sadek, took part in this hearing. The high-level meetings bringing together several departments and institutions in charge of the fight against the pandemic are still continuing in consultation for an effective response against COVID-19. Chaired by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed in the presence of the Ministers of Health Mohammed Warsama Diriye and Communication Radwan Abdullahi Bahdoun. The second meeting of the Response Committee had the participation of civilian and military doctors and senior officials of the central administration, all mobilized to reduce the circulation of the virus in our country. The participant proposed to revitalize the strategy already in place and increase the vaccination phase for the population. They emphasized the importance of evaluating the pandemic while expanding diagnostic sites and improving care. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport launched last night, as part of fight against the pandemic of COVID-19, a vast awareness campaign for women leaders through the community council established in the various CDC of the capitals. The theme of sensitization focus on the respect of bioregistries such as wearing masks, hand washing, distancing. This awareness is led by the dynamic head of the CDC, Mr. Ahmed Ali Ahmed. The objective of the awareness workshop through the CDC flagships platforms of social integration of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport is to contribute strongly to the national prevention effort aimed at containing the spread of this pandemic of the century, which is already wreaking havoc in our country, taking away several dozens of our Djiboutian sisters and brothers in such a short time. Under the chairmanship of the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, the National Assembly hosted this Wednesday, April 28, 2021, a meeting of Conference of Presidents to transmit the draft laws pending to the various standing committee. This conference held strictly with the barrier measures and social distancing, so the presence and participation of the government represented by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. In addition, the second Vice President of the Parliament, the Chairman of the Standing Committee, and the General Rapporteurs of this budget also took part in this meeting. The Conference of the Presidents has forwarded to the competent Standing Committee the following draft laws. In the framework of the development of the Community Mutual Fund integrated through the empowerment of women, a delegation composed of senior of the Minister of Women and Families, UNFD representative, and Salam Bank, led by Ms. Saida Musa, technical advisor to the Minister of Women and Family, went to Dakhil this Tuesday, April 28, 2021, to continue the round of handing over checks and other materials to the beneficiaries of the different programs and projects implemented by the Minister of Women and Family. Upon arrival, the delegation was welcomed by local authorities and inhabitants of the region. As the usual greetings, the speaker took turn at the microphone to talk about the objective of this meeting and its importance. Respectively, the president of the Regional Council, Abdurrahman Yunus Are, the prefect Aden Musa, the representative of the Salam Bank, Mr. Almi, the representative of the UNFD, Ms. Mariam, and the technical advisors, Ms. Saida Musa, who took turns at the microphone for brief speeches after the two checks were handed over for an amount of 15,000 for the community mutual insurance companies, young girls who have a project. As part of the promotions of youth entrepreneurship, the Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, proceeded yesterday mornings in Al Sabih to the presentations of a check for 1,475 Djibouti franc to 10 young girls with opportunities to create income-generating activities and employment. This project aims to fund programs to encourage women and youth to engage in partnership in entrepreneurship with the technical and financial support of UNFPA and European Union. The handing over ceremony was attended by the UNFPA representative in Djibouti, Asha Ibrahim, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Family Affairs, Ms. Anissa Hassan Bahdoun, the representative of the Salam Bank and the EU, the Deputy Prefect, Mr. Khadar Idris Suge, the Vice President of the Regional Council, Mr. Noor Said Geldon. For her part, the Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, has for her part indicated that this project aims to fund programs to encourage women and youth to engage in entrepreneurship with the technical and financial support of UNFPA. The Republic of Djibouti celebrates today the World Book and Copyright Day. The event took place at the conference rooms of the National Library and Archives under the auspices of the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Culture, Mumin Hassan Barre. This event, jointly organized by the National Library and Archives and the Djiboutian Copyright Office, was attended by the Director General of the Mr. Ged Hassan Almi, the Director of the National Library, Ms. Khaltoun Mohammed, the Director General of ODA, Mr. Idris Musa Ahmed, and the presence of the writers Dr. Shehem Wata, Dr. Hibo Mumin, and Musa Kakko, as well as senior officials of the Ministry of Muslim Affairs and Culture. Thereafter, the ceremony began with the traditional reading of the Holy Quran, followed by the national anthem. The ceremony continued with the presentations of digital resources available free of charge, made by the Director of the National Library, Mr. Khaltoun Mohammed, followed by presentations of the mission and the prerogative of the Djibouti office and copyright of the neighboring rights. For his part, the Minister of Culture, Momin Hassan Barre, to deliver a solemn speech while recalling the importance of the book, the minister urged young people to engage in the practice of reading, which, according to him, forges the spirit of and contributed to the construction of citizenship. He also emphasized the legal protections of literary and cultural works against any illegal use, for which comes the need to preserve the moral rights of the literary and artistic creation. The Minister of Labor in charge of reform of administration, Isman Ibrahim Roble, received in audience today the Ambassador of the United States of America, accredited to the Republic of Djibouti, Jonathan Goudale Pratt. During this meeting, the minister and ambassador discussed together the priority around which the cooperation strategy with the American embassy is based on the many of the discussions, the sharing of information on the policy of recruitment of the local and foreign staff within the American entities in Djibouti, the start of implementation of the memorandum and of understanding concluded with U.S. aid, and finally the support to the realizations of the programs and the new policy of employment resulting from the works of the National Forum of Employment of last February. The Secretary General of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Ms. Khadija Ibrahim Idris, received yesterday in her offices the representative of the NGO linking in aid, Ms. Etienne Khadija, within the framework of the partnership agreement signature. We are also present at this event the Member of Parliament, Honorable Ismail Sanalase, the Director of Youth, Ms. Khaltoun, the Director of CDC, Mrs. Ruqayya Hassan, and the Director of the Acting Directors of the region, Mr. Yusuf Abdallah. It was questions of setting up training programs, equipment, and materials for the structures of the CDC. As a reminder, the NGOs linking in international works in the fight of poverty alleviations by providing community organizations with the means to help the most vulnerable. The Union of the French-speaking Press launched today at the Institute of Diplomatic Studies in Djibouti the work of the training workshop for Djiboutian journalists on human rights. This workshop, organized with the support of UNESCO, will take place from 27 to 29 April and brings together some 20 journalists from the print and audiovisual media. The launching ceremony of this workshop was attended by the technical advisor of the Ministry of Communication in charge of Post and Telecommunication, Ms. Aisha Mohamed Roble, the Secretary General of UNESCO Commission, Mohamed Musa Yabe, and the President of the Djibouti Francophone Press Union, Mr. Kennedy Ibrahim Hussein. During the 3 days of workshop, journalists will be familiarized with the techniques of covering human rights issues. In a speech delivered on this occasion, the president of the UPF Djibouti, Mr. Kennedy Ibrahim Hussein, recalled that journalists play an important role in the promotion and protection of human rights. He indicated that during these workshops, it will be a question of how to acquire enough elements that will allow journalists to interact with the actions in favor of human rights and to better understand the problems related to human rights in the Republic of Djibouti. The advisor to the Minister of Communication, Ms. Aisha Mohamed Roble, praised the nobility of journalists who is in some parts of the world at the risks of their safety, their freedoms, and even their lives relay the violations, disrespect and promotions of human rights, and often exercises their profession in perilous areas of conflict. In Djibouti, the human rights, she said, in Djibouti, the human rights situation is very satisfactory, she said, because citizens enjoy all their civil and political rights in accordance with our constitutions, which guarantees them fully. As part of the DEGRA project implemented by FHI 360 with financial support of USAID in partnership with MERFOB to support readings in basic education in Djibouti, the NGO is one of the two national NGOs recruited to raise awareness and support in Djibouti cities schools to conduct communities reading activity. To this end, the NGO PLA is responsible for organizing at least one reading festival involved with broad participations of school communities in 25 schools. To this end, the NGO PLA will accompany and support the schools of the annexed CFF and Djibouti C districts in the organizations of their make it a reading festival through a wide participations of their school communities, The main objective of the Reading Festival is to carry out activities to raise awareness among parents, teachers, and students about the importance of the main objective of the Reading Festival is to carry out activities to raise awareness among parents, teachers, students about the importance of reading, use communication and community mobilization tools provided by DEGRA project. It is a month of pity, peace, solidarity, sharing for the Tajorian people, in particular for the Muslims in general. Nevertheless, this month of youth does not prevent also the young people of Tajora to exert their activities, generators of income generating activities to prove of the district on the arteries of the main road of Tajura. Young holders of this small trade exposes their goods and services such as the watermelon, banana, and what are in between in others of the product of preferences of the young people. If some young people are oriented towards small businesses activities, others are attracted by the initiative of the Subdirectorate of the State Secretariat for Youth and Sports, who organizes a sport competition for young people entitled "This Sport Event is held in the sport complex of Tajora during the holy month of Ramadan," that the physical activities has a considerable positive effect on young young people. The prefect of the region, Mr. Hassan Dabale, and the president of the regional council congratulate the ambitious and creative young people and affirms their total support in the realizations of their future project. It is with sadness and dismay that we learned the death of our actor, comedian, the late Musa Hassan Musa, which occurred this morning in Istanbul, where the deceased was evacuated. The Minister of Muslim Affairs Culture sent his sad and painful condolence to the families of the late Musa Hassan Musa, who died on April 27, 21 in Turkey, born in As'ila in 1958. The late Musa Hassan Musa has been performing in the theater since 1975 and has continued to make his marks in the field of culture. He was one of the founders and a great directors of the Eastern Voice Company and ensured the renewal of the National Theater. The late Musa Hassan Musa, shown in the Djiboutian and international cinema, the late Musa Hassan Musa has trained generations of young actors and artists contributing to the development of the Djiboutian arts. At the same time, he was the head of the Cultural Heritage Department in the Ministries of Culture from 2004 to 2018. The year of his retirement, the late Musa has always been a pillar of the national culture. Is very social. The late Musa was appreciated for his generosity, his solidarity, his open-mindedness, and his patriotism. In these painful circumstances, the Minister of Muslim Affairs Culture addresses his painful condolence to the family of the deceased. May Allah welcome him into his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, Champions League, Real Madrid draws against Chelsea. Dominated in the game, Real Madrid conceded the match at home against Chelsea in the first leg of the Champions League semi-final 1-1. The second leg will be played on May 5, facing Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, and Zinedine Zidane's Real Madrid could only draw at home in the first leg of the Champions League semi-final. Satisfactory results as the Madrilenians seemed overwhelmed by the London bloc. The Blues, on the other hand, can be satisfied with an advantage taken in view of qualifications for the final. No winner between the two formations, but an advantage for Chelsea before receiving the second leg on Wednesday, May 5. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.